Hi, soul being absolutely beautiful every time. This is Venus on the mothership. So, I wanted to talk a little bit about the this concept called inner masculine or yeah, inner masculine. It's just a dynamic that is created from doing, from just think of the principles we associate men with, right? With the structure, with doing, with 3D, third dimension, right? It's all about external action, external expression. And in this community, in spiritual community and personal development community, there's a lot of people, femininity community, there's a lot of um, people who are saying that we don't have inner masculine. You have zero masculinity, masculine energy, which is bull crap because I was just looking at my app. I have this app that tracks my periods, and it tells me in each phase what hormones I have that are peaking, where the hormones are, right? And it tracks all of it, including testosterone. Yes, we have testosterone inside of us. We don't have it to the same magnitude like men, but we still have it, which shows you that even though that principality of that govern masculinity, they reside within us. It's all about energy. And I'm just like, man, why are people why are people going to the extreme to just explain the truth? You don't have to nullify the truth. It's just a dynamic. We all have masculine energy, and most of the time it's because when people are teaching femininity, it's all about being passive. It's all about not being a man. It's all about getting rid of anything that you associate with being a man about. But to be honest, it's knowing how to balance that within yourself. It's knowing how to utilize those principalities to get what you want and desire without sacrificing your most authentic self. Because your most authentic self is the attraction point for everything that you desire. It's the attraction point for your radiance, your magnetism, your inner child, because that's where you want to feel the safest. That's where your soul radiates. It's the most free, right? But we're conditioned out of our most authentic self because we want to belong, because we want to come across a certain way. We see something we like and we're like, okay, I'll abandon myself so I can get that at all means. And I can resonate with this because when I went to college, I was boy crazy, right? I went to an all-girls school for 6 years. So when finally I went to college, there were men everywhere. I was like, ooh, man. I know I do, man, right? But of course, I was also going through exploring my identity on earth, my identity in society, my identity as a woman. And I resonated the most, like most women, with feminism, right? Anything that empowers the woman, anything that empowers the woman outside of social conditioning, like, oh, you're just a baby machine, or you're just meant to just get married and pop babies and stay in the kitchen, and like depressing. So of course, naturally, that also attracts very extreme people, right? Man haters, women who believe the worst in men, and women who have experienced the worst in men, right? And naturally, I attracted groups, social media groups, where there were a lot of like women who were projecting their limiting beliefs on love, their limiting projections on what you need to do to attract the main male gaze. So of course, because this is who I was being, I attracted more women who were neglecting and abandoning themselves to attract the male gaze, who believed they had to be something other than their most authentic self to attract the male gaze. And as I was doing this work, because I mean my not node is in Scorpio, so I am going within. That's where my soul is always leading me towards within. I really did the deep work, and I was like, wait a minute, like this doesn't feel right. It doesn't resonate. I mean, everyone is liking this comment. Everyone, all these posts, majority of these posts, agreeing with this notion that um that majority of men and most men are just ewy, like, there's a general consensus that uh love doesn't exist. It was just negative perception of the masculine. And when I look at it from the higher awareness, right, not from my lower mind, from lower mind, I'm just like, oh, I feel disempowered by this narrative, right? My body, I was just so defeated, because this is not what I want to create and experience. From the higher awareness, I was like, oh, I attracted these women because they were also feeding into this timeline where and we're only aware of men who didn't see us as the one, men who didn't choose us, men who didn't want us, men who didn't create a safe space for us to be. And I was like, ooh, this sounds like a core wound that we both we manifested externally, right? We both came out together and manifest this consciousness that we were subconsciously creating and attracting life from. And that's when I met my inner masculine, right? My inner masculine is that aspect of myself that I was seeking. I had externalized, I was outsourcing the power from, instead of internalizing it. So I was seeking the male gaze consistently. Needless to say, I was going on dates with men. I was just entertaining men who, and from my sovereign self, from my empowered self, I'll be like, ew, gross. But I was so disempowered. I was so much in my wounding, in my shadow self. I was so desperate for the male gaze. That was what was driving and motivating me. I wasn't aware of it. I'm now more aware of, like, oh, that pattern was coming from this. So I wanted the male gaze. I wanted male attention. I wanted validation. I wanted, even if to get a proposal, like I wanted, because that's what would validate my existence. That's what would validate my worthiness. That's what would validate, like, yeah, I'm it. I'm enough. Right? And I kept in that same cycle. I gave parts of myself that now I'm like, absolutely not. That's only for me, right? Even if it's honey comes in, I'm like, that's just for me, right? But I gave it because I was willing to do that just to get what I wanted, which was this consistent presence of safety, of emotional safety, of validation, of enoughness, of no matter what, I can't do any wrong. No matter what, I can't be somebody that I'm not, because I separate myself from the love that I'm seeking. So all this time I thought I had to find that in another guy, in another person, and in the male gaze, or how many guys were texting me, how many guys were pursuing me. And of course that feeling comes once in a while. It doesn't go anywhere, right? But I'm aware of this wounding. I'm like, oh, this is what's going on. Okay, cool. Okay. And then now I'm internally sourced. I know how to fulfill that within myself. Because once I fulfill that within myself, I upgrade my magnetism, because I'm not looking for it outside of myself. I'm not looking for it. I'm not coming from separation from it. I am it, right? So I'm seeking for love. I'm seeking for attention. I'm like, okay, what emotional need am I seeking from the other? Okay, I feel unattractive. Okay, so what do I need to do to be attractive right now? For myself, not for other people. Okay, let me put some lip gloss. Let me go dance a little bit. Let me go work out, right? I start sourcing it within myself. I start empowering myself instead of just being passive and not doing anything and waiting for a guy to come on a horse and to save me from this feeling, from this negative spiral. I become that. I made a video a while back, how to become your own man, and a couple of people are like, woo, you shouldn't become your own man. Like, why are you becoming your own man? No, there's nuance to everything, honey. It's all about sourcing within yourself so that when the person comes in, you're already sourced within. You're not just leaving your standards on the floor just so that you can just have a man in your life. No, you gotta have a standard. Like, there's a million men on this planet. You want to leave enough room for, like, oh yeah, I already do that for myself, but I want a little bit something more. If I can do this for myself, what more can you add into my life? It's like their existence become a cherry on the top. Of course, we adore men and we love men. We appreciate their existence, right? We love good character. We love loyal and devotional men, right? Men of substance. We love that. But we're not abandoning ourselves just so that we can have them in our life. We source within ourselves what we are truly needing in this moment. We notice our vulnerability. Our vulnerability is not something to hide with our ego and act like we're not, and act tough and act like right? No, we are like, okay, this is the emotional wound that I'm feeling right now. I don't like how it makes me feel. I don't like being a vulnerable human being. I don't like other people perceiving me this way. And you really sit with your shadow so that you can actually understand what the shadow is trying to awaken within you, right? Because the shadow is within the light is within the shadow, right? It's yin yang, masculine, feminine. It's, we both need each other, right? No, we both desire the best out of each other. But when you're not being your best, like, how can you expect another person to come at their best? How can you feel worthy of another person's best, right? It's that resonance, the law of resonance. It's one of the 12 universal laws, right? So how you're resonating is what you're attracting. And if what you're attracting is not what you really want, it means you got to go within yourself and really check your X's against your O's and say, what is not resonating anymore right here, right now, right? And that is an inside question. It's not something that you source from your groups, from your level up groups, from your aunties and whatnot, because you're going to enter your coffin by yourself. So some questions are just for you, against you. You got to do some grown-up, big girl self-evaluation where it's you against you. You're not living life for other people. You're living life for you, right? There's a plane flying by. So it's less about performing. It's less about trying to manipulate others to get what you want, and more of manipulating what you already are to attract what you already have, right? It's all about rearranging what's within you, in your mind, in your emotional field, right? Like when we wake up, we don't look the way we show ourselves to other people, because we manipulated what we had to create this, right? I put on some lip gloss, I look cute, right? I have a nice background, I did whatever I had to do to get my energy right, and that inspired me to start this video. It's all about manipulating energy. But it's not manipulating from lies. It's not manipulating from separation from self, from neglecting yourself. It's manipulating from truth. There's a difference. There's a huge difference, okay? So I want you to think about the weather. The weather is always manipulating energy, right? So like right now there's clouds in the sky, and Mother Nature might decide like, you know what, bet I'm tired of this cloudy stuff. I want sun, and then she manipulates her energy, and then the clouds disappear almost like magic, and then the sun pops up. It's like, oh hey, summer in the beginning of the year, right? So I want you to start thinking like that about your inner world, about where you are, about how you perceive yourself, about how you perceive your past self, right? We want to separate. The right way to separate yourself is from differentiating yourself from who you used to be, how you used to perceive yourself, right? I call this arising, right? You're separating yourself from your previous era, and now you're stepping into a new era. You gotta really differentiate the principles that you've been creating in your past era, and the where you'll be creating in this new era, right? Because we're all about creating new eras. We're eternal beings having a human experience, but that doesn't mean we don't get to have our own eras, okay? So my past era influenced how I show up in this era, in that I used my past lessons, my past negative lessons, to educate me and to help me become wiser, this wiser version of myself who's now communicating to you through this device. I'm erasing, right? I am manipulating who I used to be to enunciate who I am right now. And it's not for a performance, I'm just being. Because it's not like, hey, I'm somebody important. I want you to perceive me as somebody important. Yeah, I always get my nails done, even though I never have enough money to get my nails done. I always get my nails done. I always have my makeup done because that's who I am. There's none of that. There's no like this external energy of, being something you're not. There's just relaxing in my most authentic self. There's just being. There's just enjoying my presence, enjoying how I'm expressing right now, who I'm being right now, enjoying my humanness. There's no need for external validation. I don't need y'all to validate me. I don't need to validate y'all. I'm just being. Because this validation is all about manipulation. It's all about being codependent on emotional wounds, and we don't want that. We've been creating many lifetimes on that, and look what we have created. So I want you to reflect on the previous era. The previous era could be who you used to be 10 years ago, 1 year ago, or a minute ago. You decide where your era begins and ends, right? And what you get to call it. So I want you to reflect on what you used to do that you don't resonate with. This could be anything that you're so ashamed of, or you feel guilty about, or you're noticing so many people are against what you used to do that you're like, I'm not feeling this anymore, right? It's a different story that you are now realizing that, hey, I've outgrown this version of me. But I want you to be really honest. Have you outgrown this version of you because other people told you that you've outgrown it? Or have you really like checked your X's and O's and like, yeah, this doesn't really resonate anymore. I don't want to be this person anymore, right? That's a really good distinction I want you to take note of. And then those things that you used to do, I want you to think about who it helped you to be, good or bad, right? Both. I want you to really pay attention to both the good and the bad, because with any choice you make, there's always good and bad. And from there, I want you to clarify who you desire to be and who this person you used to be helped you find this clarity, right? Because there's an interconnection with everything. For you to attract this video, it's because you made a couple of choices that made you resonate with this message, right? Everything is interconnected. We're all interconnected. I got this inspiration from listening to music. I was like, oh, let me go online and talk about this. Everything is interconnected. But when you believe everything is just me, 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 and you isolate yourself, you never find the wisdom of where you've come from. So you really want to reconnect you to the wholeness of everything, to universal love, right? To this divine love that you thought that only a man could give you. You thought only came through a male gaze. I want you to really reconnect to that divine love, where all parts of you, good and bad, they're safe, they're loved, they're chosen, they're desired, they're wanted, because this is where the magic happens. This is where emotional alchemy happens. We want to really feel and experience those negative emotions, because that's where the wisdom comes from, right? It doesn't come from positive thinking and faking positive thinking, say, ooh, hi, everything is going well, but really it's not going well within you, right? We want to really sit with and listen to what's really going within us. But this is where I differentiate with a lot of people. I don't believe that we gotta sit and marinate in the negative emotions. No, just sit and listen and let that emotion, that negative emotion, empower your next choice, right? So we're not making disempowered choices that make us numb, that make us pull ourselves down. No, let that emotion inspire you. That choice could be looking up another YouTube video, searching something on the internet, asking ChatGPT something, an inspiration, right? It could be reading a book. It could be whatever your soul's solution. Hey, get it? Whatever your solution is. There's no good or bad. Other people tell you like, oh, don't do it this way. There's none of that over here, right? We are internally sourced. Whatever that looks like for you. Listen to the negative emotion and let it inspire your next choice, right? And let me know what that choice was. Put it down below. I'm really curious. Because that next choice resonates with the inner masculine, with your divine masculine. Which is your inner masculine that is empowered, your inner masculine that's an alignment with your higher self, the inner masculine who resonates with the caliber of men that you really want around you, not the ones that you're just lowering your standards so that you can just entertain, so they can validate your emotional wounds, honey. It's about becoming that, your own man. It's about becoming whole. It's about taking responsibility for your everything. Yeah, not fun, but my gosh, this is what will give you the world. This is what will allow you to be able to hold the whole world, for you to be able to hold all your desires, right? So there's a difference between like, I'm manifesting a wealthy, rich guy, right? And I have to fix myself. I always have to be somebody I'm not. I always have to do X, Y, and Z to keep the man, right? This is somebody who's externally sourcing their man. And somebody who's like, oh, I can get that. I already have that. You visualize, you're already experiencing it within. Oh, like, what would my rich, wealthy husband get me? Oh, he'll get me a house with a waterfall in the background. Oh, I'm right there right now. Oh, he's giving me a glass with my favorite Vice juice, with my pleasure cup. Oh, the way he's looking at me. Oh, wow. Right? There's a difference. So no matter how that man shows up outside of you, you don't care, because inside you're living the life, baby, and they don't need to know that. So there's this conditioning that we're constantly fighting against. There's this conditioning that's always working against us, that, oh, we have to complete that outside of the self. No, the guy outside is the cherry on top. You just go inside and create the standard. You create what you want to you want to normalize on a daily basis, and that's the work. That's it. So if you resonate with my message, I made a song for you. I made 2 of them, and I wrote the lyrics all by myself, but I had help with ChatGPT. And below that song, there's a message for you, an invitation for one-on-one, and I can help you. There's different tiers. There's 3 different tiers based on your budget to work with me, and so we can activate your soul marriage. So what's a soul marriage? A soul marriage is where we bring your inner femininity and your inner masculine together to become whole, so that you can actually start resonating on that level that you really desire, so you can catch up to your dream self, right? Instead of sourcing it outside of yourself and constantly feeling disempowered because you feel like you have to neglect yourself, you have to abandon yourself, you have to be anything other than your most authentic self, you have to judge who you used to be to attract what you want. You don't have to do that anymore, because you become whole. You finish the circle within. You make your inner self the safest place on earth, no matter what. No matter what. And you always know how to source within yourself, no matter what. You know how to create from your sovereignty instead of from your disempowered self, instead of from your victimhood, instead of your that version of you have to create and perform for you to get what you really want. You don't have to be strong and to be like and to be like a man for you to get what you want. You just have to be you. You're enough. But of course, the world is conditioning us that our gnosis, our knowingness outside of ourselves. And it's time to remember, it's time to come back home within yourself, all right? So you'll find that information below this video. Otherwise, see you on the other side.